O'Reilly, anchor of the No Spin News, author of Confronting Evil, host of the We Will Do It Live podcast. Bill said this in the tease to our segment tonight. I said, can Trump afford to restart the war, or can he not afford to restart the war? Can he afford not to restart it? Which one is it?
Well, it's both, because if there's an opportunity to nail this thing down so that the mullahs allow weapons inspectors in to examine the uranium and ballistic missiles, which is what has to be in any treaty, the other things will fall into place. Now, to get them there is very difficult, exceedingly difficult. And I said at the beginning of this, and you remember it, biggest gamble President Trump's ever taken in his entire life on anything.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Venezuela, it's not like other countries, a theocracy, it's fascism. They don't care whether they live or die or their people live or die. However, they don't really have a lot of resources left, the Iranians. But are they going to go down, pardon the pun, with the ship? Are they going to do that? That's what the president is waiting to see, whether they will at least give the world a break. And you can't call it. You just can't call it.
No, look, and I think the way they're trying to sell this is interesting. Kelly's reporting was fantastic. Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, both briefing tomorrow, and an appearance by President Trump. And every time he sort of says, hey, look, it's short. Gas prices are going to come down. We'll put some of the prices that we were all experiencing up on the screen. At this point, for public opinion, does it matter what Trump and the administration say, or does it really only matter how Americans feel every day economically?
Matters to 50% of the country. 50% of the country, according to polling, if good news is delivered, will accept the good news. And overall, they understand why the conflict is happening. The other half hates Trump, or they're Democrats and they want, power in the midterms. They have a lot of other agendas swirling around there. So about half the country is still listening to the president and his cabinet, I think.
Okay, half the country. You can win an election with half the country. In terms of that, though, GOP-leaning independents, 73% in term one, now down to only 53% in term two. Now, you make the point that that could bounce back if we get good news. The other way to try to get it to bounce back is to remind people of how much worse it could be, say, under Joe Biden, which is where part of Trump's team has gone. Take a listen.
Jet fuel prices have gone up. This story was not written because of the Iran war. This story was written years ago because of what Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg.
The withholding by the Biden vegans of literally millions of acres of grazing land.
The last administration moving cattle, doing everything they could to basically eviscerate the cattle industry.
This is just more of the mess we inherited from the Biden administration.
You know, Bill, whether they're right or whether they're wrong, the irony, of course, is this was the same argument made by Democrats in 2022. That none of these problems were Joe Biden's fault, and they may not have been. But the American people held him responsible. Is there any reason to think they're going to do something different with Donald Trump?
No, that's not going to work. It's never worked. If you look back at administrations that got into trouble, Lyndon Johnson, Vietnam, Carter with Iran, Nixon, you can blame anybody you want, but they're going to hold you, the voters, accountable because you're the president of the United States. That's it. So going back to how bad the Democrats are and poor Biden's leadership was, not going to get you any votes. What will is if there's a victory and then the oil prices go down quickly, which both are very possible, and I'm rooting for both, that'll help. But if you're going to go back to history, That's not going to do it, in my opinion. My humble opinion here, Leland.
Yeah, we know of many things you're noted for your humility, Bill. I think about what Cuomo said the last hour. You can argue with him about this on Wednesday, but he said, you know, he's for America winning, and America winning is winning the war against Iran, putting the mullahs in their place, reopening the strait, getting some kind of result when it comes to the nuclear material and the like. The question is going to be for Republicans, though, how quickly that happens. The timeline clearly is why we're seeing this pressure and action by President Trump. That said, yours and my former colleague at Fox News, Karl Rove, made the point that Republicans at some point are going to have to make a choice between sticking by the president and acknowledging the pain of the American people. Take a listen.
They got to show they have another act, not just vote for me because of what I've done, but vote for me because of what I want to do. Here's the agenda that I'm going to work hard for in my next term. And that agenda has to come from them. Can't be given from the leadership, can't come from the president. It has to come from them.
Is there room for Republicans to move away from Trump?
No. That's the answer to that question. No.
No.
He's the ship.
Carl's wrong.
You're either going to sail with it or go down with it. What Rove is talking about is that he wants the individual people running for office in November to be better campaigners, to connect with the voters in an emotional way. And of course, that would be best for the Republican Party if that were to happen. But if you think that you can cut loose the most charismatic populist president in the last 50 years, you're crazy. You can't. And if you try, you're going to get slaughtered.
You say he's charismatic and populist. There's nobody who is, I think, a better or loves the presidency more than Donald Trump does. No more accessible president that I've ever covered or known of. But he keeps minimizing the war. He calls it a mini war. Take a listen.
Like, we have a war right now, and we're into, like, what, 6 weeks? They said, what's taking so long? We were in Vietnam 19 years. Our country's booming now, despite the fact that we're in I call it a mini war, because that's all they are.
Last 30 seconds, Bill. Should he be calling it a mini war?
Doesn't matter. And
what the president says doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter if he calls it a mini war, mini wheats, or mini whatever, mini me. All this doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is victory, number one, and then the fruits of that victory, which would be a relief on all prices. They would go down.
Yeah,
That's
and a remade Middle East.
Descriptions of what's happening in the Persian Gulf, even the Straits of Hormuz. Most Americans have no idea what you're talking about.
No, that's a fair
point.
point.
They don't know what Hormuz is.
Well, thank you for giving a preview to my next segment, Bill, where we will take people into the Strait of Hormuz with someone who has been there. Bill O'Reilly, thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.